All right, everything is now dry. So I'm just going to give you a little tour of what it looks like. This is, of course, the what's going to be at the outside of the scroll. And I've put a few white embellishments on, like I was talking about. This is just splattered white ink. And then I actually just drew on with the ink in a paintbrush some little crosses. There's a little cross embellishment between each verse. That's how I was doing it. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm thinking I want to do some, I don't know, just grunge up the words a little bit. You know, just add to that ancient feel. Now this side, I was a little bit more precise in what I was doing. And I did this side first, and I wasn't sure if I liked that preciseness. I do think I want to grunge up the words. And I'm going to have to do something with the preciseness, but I don't want to do just splat. So I haven't quite decided how I'm going to soften that. Okay, so but before I do anything else that requires drying time, I'm going to show you how to affix the button, and then and also then the wrap. So let's see, I have to start on the outside. The button goes on the outside. So we'll affix the button right here. So I already have my needle and thread. I'm using embroidery floss because I won't need to do so many ins and outs with the strength of the embroidery floss. And plus, I think it just adds to the entire old ruins type of look. And I picked out 3 buttons, and I'm going to just try them out on this. I wish I could talk to you so I could just get your feedback. But this is the first button I found, and I like it. And then I found this one. This is a hand-forged piece of metal. I had a shirt that had these buttons all the way down the front, and when the shirt got holes in it, then I just cut the buttons off because they're so cool. But one thing each of these buttons has is what's called a shank. You can kind of see that. Now, the reason I'm liking the shank look is because it gives a little bit of space to wrap that cord around to fix it. Now you can do a thread shank with like a regular 4 or 2 hole button, and I'll show you how to do that in the tutorials that I'll be putting into the free classroom. But I also want just to keep it a little bit shorter for today's demonstration. So I do like this hand-forged metal, and I wondered if I was going to like the sort of silverish look with the brown of the tea bags. And I liked the idea of the contrast. But then I actually saw this at the last minute when I was going through my button box, and somehow it's got that dark bronze that matches the tea bag, and that swirl reminds me of infinity, which is God. So anyway, I really like this button, so that's the one I'm going to use. But I am going to save these for, the next scroll I make. So what do you think of my little chicken pin cushion? I'm part of a sewing group, a sewing guild, and that was in our little Christmas bags from last year. All right. So I've got the embroidery floss. It's the full 6 threads of the embroidery floss knotted up. And so I'm going to show you here. I'm going to give the camera a moment to focus. Now you notice I'm going to go down from the top. And so what I'm going to do is hopefully hide that knot underneath the button. So I'm going to pull it all the way through gently. And if you use the rice paper, and I believe any kind of paper would be the same once you put the once you collage the tea bags or whatever paper you have on. The gel medium gives strength to the paper, as does the extra layers of paper. But I'm still being careful. And I'm just starting this off so I can get it nice and laying flat on the other side without having a big fat knot. Can you see it? I'm watching what I'm doing and not the recording, the screen, so I have to keep checking my screen to make sure you can see what I'm doing here. Oh, I already got some sort of crazy knot going. What happened? Well, I'm going to pause this while I fix the knot, and then I'll be right back. Okay, had to get my reading glasses on to fix it. And nothing really serious had happened. It's just the embroidery floss wasn't coming through at the same rate since I have it doubled over. I'm pulling the knot out on this side just a bit. And I'm just, another way, to further attempt to hide that knot in the tail end of my thread is I'm going through it like so and gently pulling forth. So now that knot should be like totally underneath the button as I sew the button. And because I'm being gentle and slow so I don't tear the paper by accident, because I know it's strong, I just still always am concerned about putting too much pressure on the paper and then having it rip, which would be just a tragedy in my mind. Not insurmountable, but if I don't have to fix a rip, I'll be happy. I don't know how much you can see, which is okay. Really, there's no right or wrong way to do this sewing. I'm only going to go up and down this one time because we're not going to ever be putting a lot of pressure or work on this button, so we don't have to anchor it super strongly. Okay, so I've gone up and down twice to anchor the button. Now I'm coming back up to the front, right by the shank, and I'm going to tie off. I'm going to put a little knot there and then clip it off. I'm going to go through there twice, kind of make sort of a double knot. Okay, perfect. There. Actually, what I'm going to do, and this is something I do to make sure the threads stay together, is I'm going to use my gel medium. So I've got my gel medium. I'm going to grab my little brush that I use for all this stuff, the tiny work, and I'm going to dab some gel medium all around the thread. And you notice I haven't even cut the thread yet. You can cut it now or you can cut it later, whichever you want. But I'm dabbing the gel medium on the thread it's going to make it a little bit hard as it dries, but that's okay. But it also will anchor that knot, so it really should never come loose. Okay. So I'm going to let that dry. I'm just going to leave the needle hang for now. And while that's drying, I'm going to work on kind of grunging that up a little bit. So I have this sepia ink, archival ink, and I'm going to grab another little dirty brush. I use these brushes when they're no longer good for painting in my mind to work on grunging up things and using it with the gel medium. And because I put gel medium over the top of these collaged words, if I don't like what I'm doing, I can just wipe it off, because the gel medium gives it that, I don't know, that waterproof finish. I actually should have gotten a Q-tip. So I'm going to go get a Q-tip. All right, so I'm wanting to add some more onto this strip, as I was saying, and grunge it up a little bit. So I'm using this pad of archival ink, and it's sort of old, and I don't have any ink to replenish it. So I'm hoping it's moist enough to do this. So I've already tried out a little bit right there on the title. And I also have a Q-tip, because, and I'll show you how I use this. So I get one end of the Q-tip wet. So I'm dipping it in my water jar. And then after I dab on the ink, then I come back over the top with the wet Q-tip, and it takes some of the ink off the words. And so I like the way that looks. So I'm going to keep on going, but I'm going to fast forward because you don't need to watch every little detail. So I'll put on some worship music. Right, now I can show you the added little embellishments and the added ink on the words, just to grunge them up a bit. So this is the inside of the scroll. Turn it over, and here is the outside of the scroll. There we go. And of course my needle is still attached to the button, but the gel medium has certainly dried by now. So I'm going to go ahead and snip off that little thread. And I'm going to get as close to the knot as possible. And that's one of the reasons I don't do it before the medium dries, is because I just want to get as close as I can, and I just believe I have less chance of failure in cutting the knot itself if I wait till after the medium is dry. All right, and now it's time to put the little hemp cord on. Okay, so here's the hemp cord. And I usually make it about the length of the scroll. All the way. I know you can't see. And then plus 6 inches to tie the knot. And you know, you can always cut off excess, but you really can't add on very easily. So I always try to make it a little bit longer than what I think I might want. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread the end of the hemp through the shank, if there's enough space left, and I believe there is. Always try to leave enough space. Oh, but I have to get my glasses on, my magnifiers. I don't think I left enough room. Yeah, that embroidery thread took up more space. So actually what I'm just going to do, since I can't thread it through the shank, I'm just going to wrap it around. And I'm going to wrap it around twice, just to add a little more strength and stability, and tie a knot. So I have it pretty tight around the shank there. Pulled it tight. Put the, I didn't leave a long enough thing really. Okay, but I got it. So the hemp cord is a little bit strong, so to pull that knot tight, you really have to pull it. But the nice thing is this does not really break. If you'd like, you can put a little dab of gel medium there to hold it in place. And I'm going to snip off this end. I'm not adding gel medium because I really think the hemp holds just well enough on its own. All right, so now it is complete. I'm going to roll it up for you. Now you might have to roll it several times to get it, you know, the exact way you want it. Another thing is if you have used watercolors for your detail work or anywhere, you know, within the scroll, you may want to spray some fixative over your scroll and let it dry before you wrap it up. Because if your scroll ever gets wet, it's basically waterproof, but any watercolor will reactivate even if it's a year later if it gets wet. So just spraying with a light spray of fixative will not really damage anything at all. Okay, we're almost to the end. Well, I should have put that back a little further. Oh well, that's okay. Because I like to have the, I should have rolled it up before I pasted that down. Because I like to have the title back a little further, like up opposite the button. But you know, it's fine the way it is. But that's just a little tip. Maybe before you put your title on, you roll it up and make sure that you place it where you think is best. Okay, and I'm just wrapping until I get close to the end. Now, if you don't like to wrap so many times, you can cut it short. Like my other one, I only wrap it like 2 or 3 times, and then we're at the end. And I like tucking the end back through the wraps to hold it in place. So that's what I'm doing here. There. And then I'm just do a quick little wrap to hold it down. And there you go. There's your Psalm, my Psalm 27 scroll. And it'll fit over the candlestick. Oh, and I had a little twig just to show you how it kind of looks with a twig. And then if you just want to use a stick to make it even more rustic, here is one that I had found in our backyard, and it's got this interesting little insect hole in it. So we could slide it down like so. And we could even wrap it tighter, but then you could just lay it on the table. So this is it. I hope you've enjoyed the project and enjoy making a scroll yourself. Stay tuned for an extra bonus where I'm going to demonstrate watercoloring on the rice paper, and then just how easy it is and what it looks like when you collage the tea bags onto the rice paper. Let's talk to you soon.